Rising Star professorships are awarded to assistant and associate professors who have demonstrated exceptional accomplishments in leadership in research, teaching, and engagement. The professorships are a form of recognition awarded for a limited term of 3 years or until the recipient is promoted to full professor, whichever comes first. This year, I am pleased to announce that the school, with the assistance of our wonderful donor community, is awarding 3 Rising Star professorships. You may have seen that information on a postcard that was mailed out not long ago. Today, we are celebrating the award of the Ravi and Eleanor Talwar Rising Star Professorship of Industrial Engineering. It's going to Assistant Professor Wenzhuo. This award has been made possible by the generosity of Ravi and Eleanor Talwar. Ravi and Eleanor, can you wave back there? There they are, our wonderful donors. Ravi and Eleanor are longtime friends of the school. Ravi serves as the president of Gate City Steel Incorporated. Gate City Steel engages in fabrication and supply of reinforcing steel used in concrete construction. The company serves highway and bridge construction as well as commercial markets. It operates in Sterling, Illinois, and also in Birmingham, Alabama. The company was founded in 1968 and is based in Indianapolis. In 2004, Gate City Steel became a subsidiary of Purdue American Steel Corporation. In addition to his role with Gate City Steel, Ravi has purchased, turned around, and sold several troubled businesses in the steel fabrication domain. Ravi earned his Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering at Indiana Tech in Fort Wayne, where he also serves now on the Board of Trustees. Indiana Tech has also honored Ravi with an honorary doctorate. The Ravi and Eleanor Talwar Leadership Center within the Academic Center on Indiana Tech campus is also named in honor of them. Over the last year, I have come to know Ravi as a dedicated mentor to our students here in Industrial Engineering, and he has also served as a frequent guest speaker here on the West Lafayette campus. Now, I would like to invite Ravi to come forward to say a few words on his motivation behind supporting this Rising Star professorship that we're going to present later today. Ravi.
First and foremost, I'm very proud to be here today. I'm very proud to be associated with Purdue, and I'm also a graduate from Purdue IE many years ago. Why am I interested in education? Pretty simple. My grandfather was a headmaster in a high school, and he believed that the future for his children and their children is going to be through education. And so this is how it started. It was in the genes. Now, I tell everybody I've been a good student, I've been an average student, and I've been a bad student. Okay? But as I kept improving, I kept getting better and better and better. Okay? And when I take a look at what's going on at Purdue, and take a look at what's going on around the world, okay, the countries that are working on educating the masses are the countries that are going to be the ones that are going to manage the future. Okay? The U.S. needs to step up a notch. Okay? And the only way we can step up a notch is if we can bring world-class professors here. Okay? And who would have ever thought 50 years ago when I graduated from there, that a guy from India will be recognizing a guy from China as a rising star professor. You see, what has happened is this whole world has become one country. Okay? The sooner we recognize it, the better off we will be. Okay? And through education is the only way that we all gonna improve our lives. Okay? And if you think about how do we get educated? Well, there's two ways to do it. Okay? One is that you do on-the-job education. There's going to be people that don't come to colleges. Okay? They stay and go to work. And the second is the people that are going to make the difference that come to colleges. What this started was truly 5 years ago, so I met Ravi. He had just joined as a head of the department of IE. And he talked about his vision. Okay? At that time, we were like number 5 or number 6 in the US as an IE department. He said, my vision is to take IE to either number 1, number 2 in the world. Okay? And he gradually kept throwing things at us to tell us as to how he's planning to achieve that. And when he approached me and Eleanor with the Rising Star Professorship, it was a slam dunk. Okay? And because it made sense. If he did not have the right faculty, he would have difficult time attracting students. Okay? So we had no problem by just stepping up and said, we want to help you achieving your goals. Okay? And he's not here today, but I do want to tell you that he is the one that put us on this track. Okay? Jerry kept coming, kept giving us additional information. Okay? And when you take a look at what has happened to the IE from the first time I met, look at this building. Look at the number of students that are coming to IE. Okay? They're trying to figure out how it's the largest class, isn't it? Okay? Steve, you probably know those numbers better than I do. Okay? So every time somebody asks me to come and give a talk, I tell them pick a subject, and I'll tell you how I went through that subject to improve myself. The thing about education is you never stop. Richard was giving me a talk about when he was here. We were both there at the same time. Okay. He did his PhD in '73, I did my master's in '69. And so he was sharing with me how he came back to Purdue IE to help improve it. So everyone that came here took it to another level, to another level, to another level. And that's what we expect from you, Dr. Wu, to take it up to another notch. Okay, we'll be there right behind you all the way. Thank you, everybody.
I'm very pleased to be here today celebrating the appointment of the Rising Star Professorship of Wenzhuo. When I saw this opportunity and start to think about the nomination, as every professor would do, I try to define the word of star. So if I can define the word of star, then I can understand what is a rising star. So let me tell you what do I think about the definition of a star in academia. I feel that a star in academia are those people who made contributions like a star that is shining for a long, long time. In academia, it's our intellectual and educational contributions. And this could be best evaluated very quickly for our education effort and after a long, long time for our research effort. I would think that a star should have the society feel his impact or her impact after 20 years, 40 years, 100 years, or even forever. It is with this definitions that I start to think rising star. Rising star should have the potential to become a star. And I think Wenzhuo had this potential. And I'll tell you some of his background and the history of our hiring him. He was a candidate for a faculty member recruited by me by filling a position in IE manufacturing. When I was a member of the IE faculty search committee, and in consultation with Abby, I contacted many famous professors in the country in nanotechnology, hoping that they can provide their students as young professorship candidate to IE. And then I found Professor Zhonglin Wang, who was a chair professor at Georgia Tech. And more importantly, he pioneered an important area in nanomanufacturing. So at that time, we viewed most of the work in nanotechnology and also even in nanomanufacturing as not related to manufacturing. That's because we are closely involved in manufacturing. We define manufacturing as something which will be related to productivity, quality, and the repeatability. And at that time, very few people in nanotechnology, nanomanufacturing has addressed those issues. And yet, in a few groups addressing those issues, they lack of the expertise of devices, so that their work cannot be amplified. So I had some candidate in mind who will be deep in material science or chemistry, working on nanotechnology, and also have some good experience related to nano devices. And then Professor Wang recommended Dr. Wu. And he wrote 4 pages of the recommendation letters for him. And I forwarded it to Abby. And Abby immediately said, hey, let's try to get him. So we started the process of recruiting him. Wenzhuo obtained his bachelor degree from the University of Science and Technology of China. And that university may not have the first ranking in China, but it's close. But I think it's better than the first ranking university in China, because they have a very, very solid training of the fundamentals, especially science-related topic. So through my time in recruiting graduate students, I have always tried to find students from his university. So I found that this was his university. I was very, very excited. And he also spent time at the University of Singapore and obtained his PhD from Georgia Tech, and devoted several years of a postdoctoral experience in the Department of Science, Material Science and Engineering at Georgia Tech. And through those times, he published a huge number of papers with his major professor and also his fellow graduate students under the supervision of Professor Wang. And he has been very active since he joined Purdue 2015. He has published 18 peer-reviewed papers, numerous conference papers, and obtained quite a number of funded projects since then. They are only numbers, and behind the numbers were his working ethics. I have the pleasure to work with him to get our first nano manufacturing project funded by the National Science Foundation. And he devoted his effort and the time in responding to anything desired very quickly and aiming to get the things done very well. And after that funded project, he has obtained many new funded projects. So I think his background, his ethics of working, and his desire to be the best would provide the potential for him to become a star in academia. But whether he will become a star can only be evaluated maybe 50 years after his retirement. However, I feel very good to nominate him and to see that he's selected for this position. In the meantime, I'd like to express our thanks to Ravi for his generosity to provide this kind of support so that we will produce many stars from our school. And in the meantime, I'm sure our school's ranking will be pushed up by them, become #1 in the US and also in the world. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Ruoxin Wang. I'm a third-year PhD student from Wu Group. Today is my honor here to stand on behalf of all students from Wu Group, introducing our advisor, Dr. Wenzhuo Wu. When we heard the news that Dr. Wu was awarded the Rising Star Professorship, we all feel proud of him, and we all believe he deserves this honor because he works so hard and inspires everyone in our group. I don't mean everyone in our group are playing every day. In fact, we are all work so hard. As a PhD student, we work day and night to do experiments, analysis, and report our results to Dr. Wu once a week, sometimes twice a week, discussing every details in our research projects and our future plans. And we did learn a lot from these meetings. And we can also find his help when we have any troubles in our experiments or works. I can still remember last winter when I was preparing my first paper. I stayed up to very late to finish my revision. And finally, I got everything done, sent it to Dr. Wu, and ready to sleep. I didn't expect any feedback because it was 2 a.m. But suddenly, I heard my phone vibrating and received the email from Dr. Wu. And he said, "Thanks, I'm working on this." It feels like you think you work very hard until late night, then you find your advisor is still working. After that, we had an assumption in our group. Dr. Wu never sleeps. He's not only so diligent person, but also a detail-oriented professor. In this April, we published a paper on Nature Electronics, which is one of the best journals in our field. In fact, we got the positive data last year, and we are all excited about the results, and we start writing the manuscript. However, we didn't submit the paper as soon as we finished it, because Dr. Wu put forward many additional ideas to further solidify our data. And he revised our manuscript literally word by word. Since we are not native speakers, we did have some spelling or grammar mistakes or some Chinglish expressions in our manuscript. To avoid that, Dr. Wu checked with us again and again. After 30 times revision, we finally submitted the 31 versions of our paper. And we got the feedback after about a month. The reviewer evaluated this work was well written, and all data appeared solid from experimental perspective. The reviewer comments are very impressive for me because as a co-author of this paper, I know how many efforts the Dr. Wu paid for this work. So it was his effort makes this work successfully published on such top journal. I feel so lucky I could be one of the members from the group. And I believe we will be better as long as we keep working hard and polishing every details in our work. So thanks for teaching me that, and thanks to our donors. Thank you.
I'm honored to be up here as one of his collaborators because he has many, many collaborators. I don't know if I'd call myself one of his primary collaborators, but I am one, and I'm maybe one of the more unusual ones. So Dr. Liu mentioned the search, and I remember when Wenzhuo came and interviewed, and we sat down and talked, as we do with all of the people that we interview. And when we talked, he was very animated and understood, largely what I do, which is very different than what he does. He's in nanomaterials and manufacturing, and I'm in human factors, pretty far apart. And yet he told me, I remember at the end of it, that he said, when I come, I want to make sure we collaborate. And I had thought to myself, okay. Because it's so different that it would be highly unusual for us to collaborate. And yet, here I am, I'm standing up collaborating. And it's really because of Wenzhuo's dedication and his vision of being able to see these things. So a lot of the research that we do as faculty is fairly basic research. And so it's somewhat theoretical, and we publish in at least Wenzhuo publishes in these top-rated journals, read by other scientists. Yet the collaboration that we have really revolved around an application of his work, and it's unusual. It's unusual to have someone who's so does such great work, deep theoretical work, basic research, and yet is able to see how that might get applied, and to be able to see the vision of that. And that's where we kind of came together, was an application of Dr. Wu's sensor work, where he uses nanomaterials, to potentially using them to monitor humans in space. And that's really where we ended up collaborating. But it really took a lot of vision to be able to see that. And I, for one, am sincerely grateful that he was able to persist in this, because I'm really very, very excited about the project. It's ongoing. We're still looking for funding, but it's ongoing, and we think it's actually very, very important, and is going to yield some very important outcomes. So I just want to say thank you for collaborating with me and being able to see that, and again, congratulations. It's very well deserved.
Can you say a few words, please?
Sure. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to Grayson. First of all, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to Mr. and Mrs. Talwar and Purdue IE for this great honor, and also to those who have made this amazing event possible. Oops. It's really I'm really deeply honored and humbled to receive the Ravi and Eleanor Talwar Writing Staff Professorship, and to join the other. And to join the other. Join the other Writing Staff Professor recipients, who I have long admired and respected. I'm sincerely grateful to Mr. and Mrs. Talwar for this professorship, for generosity and the support. Thank you so much. And thank you to those who have nominated me and supported my nomination. And Ravi, Steve, Dr. Liu, and many others. I couldn't express enough how grateful I am. for this great honor. I'm really grateful for this. And special thanks to our fantastic colleagues here at Purdue IE. Thank you so much for the incredible mentoring, support, and the discussions about almost every aspect of my life here, academically, scientifically, career-wise, and many others. And also special thanks to all the amazing staffs here at Purdue IE. Thank you so much. Thank you all so much for your great work every single day. And I'd like to encourage my students. We are the people who really have done the real work in the lab. I'm just a person sitting in front of a computer typing. And also thank my collaborators and colleagues from other departments at Purdue. And I also thank my family, Amy, Maxwell, and my mom in China for their unending support and care. I couldn't be who I am without them. And lastly, thanks again to everybody at Purdue IE. Thank you so much for everything, for your tireless work in the community and also the great impact you have had on me. May we all together work together, continue to work together, and nurture and support each other, and help grow the unique image of Purdue IE as a dynamic, vibrant, and creative place to live and work. Follow up. Thank you.
Thank everyone for coming to Grissom Hall today for this wonderful celebration. This now concludes our Rising Star Professorship ceremony. I would ask that each of you maybe give one more round of applause to Wenzhuo and also our supporting team here at Grissom Hall.